came to this country in fetters and chains, outlaws and rebels with numbers for names, and on the triangle were beaten and maimed. Blood-stained the soil of Australia, dookies and duchesses, flash lads and whores. You worked their plantations and polished their floors, lived in their shadow and died in their wars. Blood-stained the soil of Australia. Does it quicken your...
We've got some very special guests here tonight. You know, the thing that we have just seen with the release of Tim Anderson is not because the court discovered all of a sudden that he was innocent, because the Crown that prosecuted him and the judge that sentenced him and the detective that arrested him all knew full well long ago that Hilton had nothing to do with Tim Anderson. The state was framing Tim Anderson. The reason that he is free right now is because an organisation called KEFTA stood against the state and fought them for 2 years and won. So I'm very privileged tonight to have most of the KEFTA members here tonight, and I'll be making a special guest appearance towards the end of the set, I hope. This song's called Among Pruddy Dogs and Pigs. As a child I was raised on salted oats and tales of the savage past. I learned to love the drifting rain and winter's icy blast. And all day long on the holy isle far out I love lush vine. I walk the hills in dripping shoes where the bones of the old ones lie. I started school out Britannia's rule was first and the skunks of all. Bought and sold by a parcel of rogues for a handful of English gold, till the fate was sealed and the London field, and the blood of the clans ran down through the twisted sea of history to the streets of Glasgow town, where at night the head of mothers led on some laureled rice, and the throne of Scotland bloomed again among Pruddy dogs and pigs. Yeah!
Okay, talking to Alistair Hewlett, the leads... Hewlett. Alistair Hewlett, the lead singer and chief songwriter from Roaring Jack. Alistair, how would you describe your music? You use amplified instruments of a rock band, you use melodies of traditional Celtic music, you have the anger and emotion of punk music, and you use lyrics that reflect the social values of our time. That's the way I see Roaring Jack. How do you describe it?
Describe it better myself, Noel. That's sort of it in a nutshell, basically, yeah. I mean, I guess that's what we are. We're a sort of folk band that puts it in your face. Yeah.
Do you see, so you obviously see, you don't see yourself as a rock band with Celtic influence, rather a Celtic band that uses rock instruments?
Well, it's a sort of eternal chicken and egg question, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't really give it a great deal of thought, but I mean, I guess we think of ourselves principally as a rock and roll band, really, you know. I mean, if you take rock and roll, you know, to its most primitive forms, it sort of came out of folk music, blues, and country music, you know. I guess we're just trying to make rock and roll, but instead of looking to the roots of American music, we draw on Scottish and Irish music, but it's all just rock and roll.
From the killing fields of Vietnam to the backstreets of old Derry town, they ring us round with tanks and guns because they want to keep us in our station. And from the coal pits of Northumberland, then down below the Rio Grande, they bind and they break the worker's hand with hardship and starvation. Because oppression is the boss's creed, and profit is their religion. But it has been proved has been proved here in Sydney that you can stand up against them, you can look them in the eye and you can fight them, you can tell them to shove it, and if you mean it, and if you fight long and hard enough, you win. That way you set the cat among the pigeons. She's laughing in the back, doesn't want to like a baby on a back, but I'm thinking it'll be a valley. Very much still speaking, Mary Mac, find me, mama, speak me, Mary Mac, and it's my marriage, get back to the camera, look, Mary Mac, Mary Mac, pretty and look, and I'll go together, back, and some she needs to be yellow on the gang in the street. I said, shout to the lady, and run to the door, and very much still speaking, Mary Mac, find me, mama, speak me, Mary Mac, and it's my marriage, get back to the camera, look, Mary Mac, Mary Mac.
Talking to Davey, the bass player from Roaring Jack. Davey, how would you describe your style of bass playing that you use in Roaring Jack?
Well, mate, it's really a conglomeration of styles, I suppose. I mean, I've listened to a lot of different bass players and guitar players and whatever else in my playing career. I mean, some of the other members of the band would probably puke at my record collection and tape collection. But, I mean, I listen to, you know, bass players like Billy Sheehan and Mark King and Will Lee, a hell of a lot of other really good players who play with, you know, who do session work and studio work with various people. Yeah, I mean, I try to incorporate a lot of different styles into it. One bass player who's really influential on my style of playing is a guy called Dave Pegg out of Fairport Convention. I mean, I've tried to work out as many bass lines of his as possible. He's got a lyrical melodic style of playing, and that's what I try to aim for in my playing. I tend to follow the melodic structure of the song a lot in my playing, as opposed to just playing root fifth or root third fifth or whatever it happens to be.
Just if you were playing in a straight rock band, would you be playing a similar style to what you're playing at the moment, or you feel that playing in Roaring Jack gives you a lot more scope?
I suppose it depends upon the strand of rock that you're playing. I mean, if you're playing sort of funk, you know, funk rock or whatever, I mean, obviously there's a lot of thumb and finger style involved in that. Yeah, if you're playing in a straight rock band, I think you don't tend to make it, and at the risk of getting into trouble with other bass players, quite often it's not nearly as melodic as required for Roaring Jack, but I mean that's not denigrating other bass players by any stretch of the imagination. It's just the requirements of that particular style. I mean, you know, if you're playing sort of straight eighths and whatever, it's really important to sort of keep the root note going, you know, and playing, you know, really keeping an eye and keeping in time with your kick drum and your snare. But you know, if you're going to be playing sort of swing, or you're going to be playing it's just straight rock and roll, yeah, the style would be slightly different, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We don't play no rounds at fucking jump. We don't look for ways to get shot in the bar. We don't need no rockstar wallies. We don't frequent magazine dollies. We don't waste our time with the likes of you. But with the likes of you. Oh, have a lovely vaccine time. Oh, double bang. Oh, shoot the rest of have a fucking bye. Out of style. We don't grin and bear it with a plastic smile. We don't work for the car mission. We don't sleep for the new generation. We don't eat our crumbs like they want us to. Like they want us to. Oh, what a lovely suit and tie. Oh, just a bit of kick and try. Oh, what a lovely shopping ticket. Bye. Yeah! Right them. We don't wait for handouts, they fucking take them. We don't march our face, we're gonna run. We don't know what happens when we try. We won't die when the old red, white and blue. Where the fuck said you? Oh, it's happened to me now and then. Oh, carry on and start again. Oh, we will all be there just tell us when.
Okay, talking to Stefan from Roaring Jack. Steph, what sort of, do you see yourself as a rock musician or a Celtic musician in a rock band?
Basically a bit of both, I'd say, yeah. Everyone in the band has sort of played Celtic music for years and years, and then all of us, and had an interest in sort of rock and roll and rock music, you know. And I've played in rock bands before, so the two just merged perfectly for me, so.
The best one went up in the whalings of fortune. I ran a sick and melon to make a brandy wine of fortune. The life is short and then the sun command to take it easy. If there's a jump who gets it down in the morning, finds me cozy. To take the light and pick it up and beats it up in the beer tap. When I get pissed, I want to kiss the last behind the beer tap. So take the light and pick it up and out in the street, I suddenly down the surface. The simple light to the last behind the beer tap. I'm not the book of Scotty Brown, get all my players stunted. If I the brush, no one in last, so take me one intention. The thanks are still they come and go, so why not you and I know? And Guitarist will have some fun, then come to Alan Friday. So take the lights and pick it up and beat it up in a bird tap. When I get the sky, want to kiss the last behind the beer tap. So take the lights and pick it up and out in the street, I suddenly then I'll say for strength and simple, take the last behind the beer tap. Yeah! Susan Smalley. Give me an hour inside the bar with my sweet Sharon Polly. For love is pleasing, love is praising, love is wealth and treasure. With a glass of wine I will entwine and with me last night pleasure. So take the light and take it a bite, painting over the furniture. When I get this I want to kiss the last behind the picture. So take the light and take it a bite. I'm in the street last Saturday night. I'll save the street this up when I did the last behind the picture.
Talking to Rob from Roaring Jack. Rob's a guitarist, the lead guitarist from Roaring Jack. Rob, I'm just wondering if you can tell us what style of guitar playing do you employ when you play in Roaring Jack?
Well, it's basically a folk style. I'm basically a folk style guitar player. I started playing acoustic music, and I basically just do what I did on acoustic guitar and electric guitar. So there's not really much difference apart from it's amplified.
So you're basically using a pentatonic type scale, are you? Or?
Pentatonic scale, I've found a blues scale. I used to play a lot of blues, and a blues scale works really well with folk music. Well, blues is folk music, but especially with Celtic music.
Yeah, but it's more associated with a more rock type, rock influenced band, the blues scale. But I know that you do use it in some of your solos, and also you use distortion pedals and chorus pedals.
Not a chorus pedal, a delay pedal, just to give it a bit of ambience, and a distortion pedal for the more thrashier type numbers. Yeah.
How would you describe Roaring Jack? I guess the aim of the assignment is to say, are they a rock band, or are they that have Celtic influences, or a Celtic band that has rock influences, or are they a punk band with, is there an element of punk in there as well, or can you relate it back to the early Australian folk songs where they would use Celtic melodies in the folk songs?
Well, I think it's basically a folk band because we play music of the people. And that's what folk music is. Just because we play it really loud at 2,000 decibels, that's still folk music. But I would say it's folk music with a Celtic flavour.
And so you see, as you said, you see yourself just as a folk musician playing in a loud band?
In this band, yeah.
This band, okay. Thank you.
The song, we're 22 now, but I won't keep on long. People ask me when I grow up to be a man, but all the girls I looked in school are already pushing around. I love you then and I love you still. I put you on a pedestal, they put you on the bill. But don't feel sad about the letting you go. I just feel sad about the letting you know. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. I love the words that you wrote to me, but that was fucking yesterday. I can't survive on what you said every time you need a friend. I saw the two shooting stars last night, I wished on them, but they were only satellites, just wrong to wish on space hardware. I wish you'd care. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England.
Talking to Rod, the drummer from Roaring Jack. Rod, how would you describe your style of playing drums in Roaring Jack?
Well, it's just a mixture of, I mean, it's just the same as playing rock drumming. It's just that you use different patterns.
But
Yeah, you just use different patterns. I mean,
but certain,
you still hit the same intensity. Yeah, it's just...
but certainly there appears to be more styles. I mean, you could play in a rock band and just do a straight 4 all night, couldn't you? You know, a bass snare with the 8s on the hi-hat. And apart from your rolls, that's all you could need to do all night, whereas in Roaring Jack, you've got a wide variety of different drum styles.
Well, that's partly the influence of, like, say, using military type rolls, or like I said before, with the patterns. There's different time signatures with, say, like the 6/8 and 2/4, and like a lot of those styles have come out of like polka music, and you know, like pata 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 pata. So
How would you describe the music of Roaring Jack? Do you see it as a rock band that, or do you see it as a traditional Celtic band that uses rock instruments?
it's a bit of both, actually. I think that's the attraction of it. That, where they use the traditional Celtic feels, Celtic tunes, or tunes that have derived from like Irish or Scottish tunes, and then they just rocked up.
And out for old Dicey Riley, she has taken to the sock. Christ, poor old Dicey Riley, she will never give it up. For it's Saturday morning to the pub, and then she's in for another little drop of the heart. On the road is Dicey Riley. For old Dicey Riley, she has taken to the sun. For old Dicey Riley, she will never give it up. There's something's running to the pub, and then she's in for another drop the heart. Up the road is Dicey Riley. Well, she walks along and skimming straight with an independent air. But then it's something somewhere hell and half the people stare. She says it's nearly 1:30. Time they had another 1.5. Up the road is Dicey Riley. Yeah, poor old Dicey Riley, she has taken to the sun. Poor old Dicey Riley, she will never give it up. There's something's running to the pub, then she's in for another jump the heart. Up the road is Dicey Riley. Yeah! Years ago when my barman and friends in my law, a lovely magic girl, Maggie is very warm. For no one put them on the shelf, but was burning up the night and night. On the time was Dicey Riley. Ah, for old Dicey Riley, she has taken to the sun. For old Dicey Riley, she will never give it up. The sun is running to the pub, when she's in for another drop the heart. Up the road is Dicey Riley. Ah, the time I'm punching up on her, like it does with pretty girls. Christ, it's after you, along the road, before you're out the fucking door. Ah, the barons wave, and the looks are vague, but out of all that great brigade, still the heart on the road is Dicey Riley. Down on Dicey Riley, she has taken to the sun. For old Dicey Riley, she will never give it up. And something's running through the barn, and she's in for another drop the heart on the road is Dicey Riley. Yes, yes! Okay. I'll come to a part of the night where I'm going to have to ask your indulgence. There's two things that I would like to do, and
I sort of said to myself when I wrote a song called Frame that we were going to keep on playing it and we were going to keep that banner up there until the night when we could play the song to our friend and comrade in arms, Tim Anderson. Well, that night is here. Maybe if we could only get that fucking thing off the wall. The other thing that we said we'd do is we'd keep on playing Frame until the frame-up was overturned. And we wanted to play it just one last time for Tim. And Tim's here tonight. Would you give him a big round of applause, please? It was wonderful to see him. I think Tim's had enough excitement for one day. Anyway, what I would like to do is to ask the members of the campaign exposing the frame-up of Tim Anderson to come up and sing the song with us. And for the rest of us, we'll just sing it from where we are. The words go, he was framed by the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus. Brett Collins, you fought long and hard, get your arse up here. He was framed by the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice. That was yesterday, Tim Anderson was framed. To work it out, another exercise might find up the smell and someone had to wear it. And they said it looks like Tim, the papers have repair it, and they laid the blame on him. When he was fined by the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice, as clear as any slogan on a wall, Tim Anderson's crime. But things to the jury never give the prosecution evidence, cause we can like the second bit without with verbals, even as the case unfolds. The German for rehearsals, while Tim Anderson was rolled, and he was framed by the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice, as clear as any slogan on a wall, Tim Anderson's framed. Don't you ever wonder what's behind this push? Maybe if he shut his mouth and moved up to the bush, then he'd be living free. Instead he chose to fight corruption in the system, and the coppers got outside. And he was framed by the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice, as clear as any slogan on a wall, Tim Anderson's crime. My comrade being and my
yours and me will wait it in the courthouse, and we fought it in the streets. We spread the call for justice to everyone we meet. Cause it was framed by the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice, as clear as any slogan on a wall in Anderson's frame. By the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice, as clear as any slogan on a wall in Anderson's frame. By the Secret Service, framed by the state apparatus, framed in the corridors of justice, as clear as any slogan on a wall in Anderson's frame. Thanks, Rory Jack, for your support all through the campaign. Rory Jack.
That's why most of my songs are in E or D, because E flat's a bitch to play in.
You came to this
Tonight we're going to see
It goes back a long way in Celtic music, actually. I mean, it goes right back to
with
the
numbers for names, and on the triangle
intoxicated
were
with magic
beaten
mushrooms
and
and then
maimed.
dive off Stonehenge into the assembly.
part of the folk culture, I guess, is that people, in a certain extent explained it, is that people learn their instrument not, they learn their music not from textbooks, not from it written down, but from an oral tradition.
Stained the soil of Australia. Does it quicken your heart beat to see